large, it is very difficult to handle all the students. Like for example, if 150 students have registered for DSP course, so it will be very difficult to handle all the students at a time. So for that one, we can get the help of some bright students. That is, we suggested supervised peer review and tutorials by peers. So the students will be motivated by the peer students in doing their assigned work in time. Every students, the same questions will not be given. Some group of students we identify and give the questions, tutorial questions. Different questions, tutorial questions can also be many students cheating while writing the assignments, quiz exams and final exams. So for that one, that is universally it is accepted too. So for this one, we have to constitute a committee in the institution level to find out a solution to overcome all these problems. So next one, DSP specifically about the DSP, and many of the core companies, they expect more from the students. That is for the PG level, they expect more. They should have good mathematical skills and DSP process, working on DSP process also, they should have good skills. So this gap what they have between the students' ability and the industry, what they expect, that can be the final year level. That is, we have to conduct some training programs from the industry, arranged from industries. Then what we have is, that is what we have, industry certificate courses. We have to conduct industry certificate courses. The students should be trained by the industry person and they will have the certificate with them. And DSP embedded board training. This is very cheap, very less cost. They should be advised to use it continuously for that is to improve the skills in working with the DSP course. And also lot of projects are available with medical in the medical field. So we should have some tie-up with the medical institutions so that the students can take up these projects and come up with the different solutions. So we should have some tie-up with the medical institutions also. Thank you.
We feel that both these power systems and power electronics, they need these fundamental subjects which are common to both. So like electric circuits, electric machines, they have to be studied in depth. So here in our group, we felt that the usage of simulation tools will be very helpful in teaching of subjects, electric circuits, machines and other subjects. And also, we felt that the students and the faculty should give more emphasis on classical textbooks, which will help in making the fundamentals clear. And also, we felt that we should encourage the students to have more fun in doing lab experiments, in sometimes emphasis. And also, in recent years, because of the use of renewable energy sources, it is very important that the grid integration of the renewable energy sources, these subjects have to be emphasized in our curricula. And regarding power systems, my friend Ramrao will discuss.
This is what we discussed and interacted and came to maybe unended conclusions. It may not be the conclusion, but so here for power systems and making the student to understand the power systems is somewhat difficult, because visualization of power system may not be that much possible, or touching the power system may not be that much possible. Student is facing is what we have discussed. So, like power electronics, machines, circuits, etc. will be essential, and mathematical modeling of power system is very much important. That means, so we have to encourage students have to be encouraged to go through the mathematical modeling of power systems. and as well as simulations later once they are able to discussion and expert talk. So it is not given, it is neglected. Distribution systems are neglected, but that is very much important. So from the what you call analysis point of view, or so the usage point of view, power usage point of view, or energy consumption point of view, and even actually so planning point of view. First of all, so distribution system planning is very much important. Rather than just power system planning, it is transmission generation planning. And so there should be one or two subjects.
What could be better in labs, because it's one of the most boring aspects of communication labs, at least the way they're currently conducted, starting from the baseband system to the RF system. And one exciting idea was the use of USRP hardware, which is Universal Software Radio Package. It's a hardware as well as software tool sold by National Instruments today. It's a very powerful tool. Simulation based on MATLAB and Simulink, leading on to practical experiments using hardware kits and so on. As of now, we felt that we're spending a lot of time teaching, way too much time teaching, and also being caught up teaching labs. So doing something differently that will free up time both on the students' part and faculty part would be nice. It's an open problem, not that we have found many solutions. And I'm not listing this in any order of priority, I'm just listing it pretty much the way the discussion progressed. So some important points might come later and so on. We also felt there was a need for increasing the self-learning content in courses. Not everything needs to be taught. In fact, it may not be wrong to say that we are actually underestimating the potential of students and limiting them by what we are trying to do. So there's some scope for innovation there. Back to experiments in the communication domain. Next, we felt that communication is one of the most mathematical courses. So it's all based on teaching mathematics well. So the basic courses for communication should be taught very well, starting from mathematics in the first year. And also the signals and systems course should be handled by experts, because that is the foundation for communication. It was suggested that teams like us could actually visit IITs, learn from what's going on in this IIT as well as others. We felt that we could use graduate students, MTechs in particular, the better ones, to assist in conducting of labs. Then some very interesting ideas came from our facilitators. One idea that was very interesting was the use of tutorials, which itself is not new, but if you could use tutorials and base a classroom exercise, essentially a classroom quiz on a tutorial of last week. Apparently that idea is working well. It enforces students to take
Ashdev Datta from IIT Hyderabad, and Dr. Shiv Govind Singh from IIT Hyderabad, Dr. Shiva Panjari from IIT Hyderabad, and myself Sridhar Rao from IIT Warangal. Most of the members felt that the system design should be introduced very early into the curriculum. That is, instead of following a conventional experiments in the third semester of the UG course, it is better to introduce a sort of experiments which are based on the real-time problems. So these real-time problems, that's basically the designing of the systems which include the hardware as well as software. That's one decision, and also they can inculcate into the curriculum. So the sessions for the curriculum are the instead of the conventional network analysis, it should be made including the graph theory. That's the interactive network analysis. It should be converted into, and followed by, instead of using electronic devices and circuits, actually nowadays from the viewpoint of the latest introduction of several courses, the devices are being merged into either two courses or even one course. Instead of that, complete focus should be given towards semiconductor devices, and one full-fledged course should be given on the semiconductor device alone, followed by technology and fabrication, one full course, because right from the fundamentals and then the introduction of the latest advances, this should include. This should followed by the linear electronic circuits, and then the RF and mixed signal circuits, and these are the introductions, these are the additions which are
I'll quickly go through some
about the discussions that we had as far as embedded systems course is concerned. So we aspects and ASIC and so on, FPGA, ASIC and so on. So it's very important to fine tune the CS curriculum because they don't deal with all this in the general pattern study. And as far as prerequisites are concerned, I think what we discussed was the concept, the basics of computation is very important because it involves more programming, design and so on. Then computer organization and a bit of digital logic is very much required for effective learning of embedded system, and a bit of OS concepts will also help. So just as far as the coverage is concerned, we just listed a few things which are very basic for any good embedded system course. So basics of embedded system, definition, difference between embedded and general system and so on. Hardware and software processes developed to develop embedded systems. And very importantly, the usage of DSP, microcontroller, microprocessor, FPGA undergoing a course. So I think we thought it's a very immediate change required that we give them the basic framework and ask them to do a few applications inside that instead of making them to type programs. So they need to get exposed to the development tools as far as the embedded system is concerned. And also we had a very important question at the end of this. What is embedded system design? Whatever we are doing, any of the courses that we have is, what is an operating system, what is an embedded system, what is the instruction set, what is programming, but there is no real concept of, or there is no real independent, and only when they go to do a lab, they can have an ARM or DSP or whatever processor. And especially for the lab exercises or tutorials, it's better to introduce some errors which are known only to the instructor, and then the students will have to debug, solve and come with a solution. I think that will result in a good lot of learning rather than routinely typing the program.
Problems in the algorithm uses data structures. To implement algorithm, we need a programming program. To write a program, we need a programming language. And also, we have to analyze the algorithm or whether it is correct or not. For that purpose, we need one more course, that is discrete mathematics. So here we have identified some courses. First one is discrete mathematics. Next, data structures,
which deal with uncertainty, fuzziness, ambiguity. To capture these physical systems into engineering. Hence, we are all aware that the soft computing, which is covering the fuzzy sets systems, rough sets, evaluation, computation, neural networks, was formulated. And this course has been introduced in several universities as an elective course at the final year. Hence, now we are also able to introduce this and design a basic course on soft computing, and possibly some autonomous institutions can go for any advanced course on that. Hence, we would like to cover only these 4 topics in a semester course, and we recommend it to be offered at the 4th year of undergraduate program. Right from morning, people would like to adopt an innovative method of teaching. Instead of simply listing some topics and going on giving some theory, by the end, will they realize with some appropriate application or not? Will they be in a position to apply the learned theoretical thing or not? That's why we would like to bring one application and introducing that problem and its issues. Then we will take the opportunity to introduce one particular subtopic in the soft computing. Say for example, like classification, several attributes we take. We ask the students whether all these attributes are necessary or can you identify some unnecessary using some mechanism. Similarly, can you comment on the sufficient nature of this? And this application will make the student to think about what kind of mechanism will be suitable. Then the teacher will go down to introducing the rough set and that. And at least student will come to know that this kind of applications in fact can be solved, and it will motivate the student to go through. Like that, we have listed some of the things, and tomorrow we will be clearly putting all these things in proper documents. And also we would like to clearly specify, because there are the private institutions, unless we explicitly list the topics which are to be taught by the teacher, then we would like to make the student to self-learn on some of the prerequisites. One of the members in our group said that this particular course is common to some other branches where we thought that some prerequisites are required, and hence there are opportunities like using web material, and hence we will list out what are the prerequisites to be covered, and even some of the basic concepts we need not teach again in the classroom teaching. Those things also we will expect the student to learn on his own using the materials available on the web and NPTEL material. This one we are planning today, and tomorrow we will be covering all these whatever I have mentioned. Thereby we hope that a proper curriculum will be designed tomorrow with all mode of delivery, the prerequisites and outcomes from this particular course. Thank you.
Let me read it out. Aruna from SNIST, Suhasini VRSC, Vijayawada, Srinivas, KNRK, Satish VC and myself from NMIT Bangalore. So we discussed various aspects of information security. First we outlined how the syllabus should be. We went for the need for security, threats, attacks, secure software development, legal, ethical and professional issues in information security, its laws and ethics, risk assessment also was the outline of the syllabus, risk identification, risk assessment, risk control strategies, security education, training, awareness programs should be given to all the stakeholders of the users of the information security. Then regarding security technologies, the outlines were of firewalls and VPNs, that's virtual private networks. Physical designs were discussed and firewalls protecting remote connections. Then coming to one more security technology, that was intrusion detection, access control and other security tools. Like intrusion detection prevention systems should be there, honeypots, honeynets, padded cell systems, scanning and analysis tools, access control devices. There should also be conventional and public key cryptography systems. When we talk about cryptography, that should also be a part of our information security. Cipher methods, cryptographic algorithms, cryptographic tools, protocols for secure communication like SHTTP, SSL, SMIME, PM, PGP, SCT, SSL, WEP and WS, so many other things. Then attacks and crypto systems should also be dealt with, like man in the middle, correlation attacks, dictionary attacks, timing attacks, so that the awareness would be there. Then physical security, implementing information security and as such. So that is a broad outline of the information security. We also felt that the existing, it started in a very theoretical sense in the classrooms. So we also felt that there should be more practical orientation because it is possible to implement all this what we discussed in the case of information security. Like we have proposed for UG and as well as for PG. In existing, we have network simulation and topology. Already a few of the colleges have implemented that, and conventional encryption algorithms. Students are already doing that as a practical examples. Simulation of spoofing, sniffing, then theoretical study as I mentioned. Then proposed. These were the outcomes of our majorly our discussions today. Traffic analysis, like which can happen for denial of service. Simulation of network intrusion detection systems and host intrusion detection systems, key distribution and key management, simulation of protocols for secure communication. Coming to this PG, already these things are existing as per our discussion, symmetric and asymmetric algorithms, simulation of spoofing and sniffing, then proposed one about an advanced one, simulation of viruses and worms, simulation of cryptanalysis, disaster management, ethical hacking, develop simulation tools for security, digital signatures, cloud security and biometrics. So this also we have designed like from taking example from the textbook, like this is a spheres of protection. So it covers everything, but information is a core part of it, which is circled by the systems, network and internet, as well as the people. So it covers a complete spheres of protection, which is mentioned over here. So these are the major discussions of today's discussion about information security. Thanks.
Group.
though we were treated as the systems group and we were clubbed together, the networks aspect of it. Our team consisted of members from Osmania University, Geetham University, Andhra University, Gokaraju Rangaraju College of Engineering, Punjab University. I'm sorry if I skipped some names there. Yeah. But basically we were discussing when we are teaching an undergraduate level of operating systems or computer networks, how should we go about teaching the course is what we were discussing. As pointed out by many of the members here, we felt the practical component of any of these courses is not enough in the current existing curriculum. As far as computer networks is concerned, we thought initially we should probably tell the student for 1 or 2 classes in a top-down approach. From the time you type www.google.com and press enter, what happens, what exactly transpires in the network in 1 or 2 classes, and then start from the bottom-up approach. So there is no consensus on that in our group as yet. We'll probably clear it up tomorrow. Yeah, and we also thought before we teach any subject, the first thing that we would probably do is to emphasize on the importance of that subject. Imagine a world without networks, imagine a world with computers but not network devices, then what would the world look like? So that is one thing. And the second very important thing is you let the students visualize. They'll probably come up with a billion ideas in Dr. Kotaro's idea, so which is true, I think. Yeah. And we thought there is again we are kind of hazy about this, whether all the 5 layers of the computer network protocol suite that we are discussing, should they be covered in a single course, in a single semester, or should we divide it into L2 and below and L3 and above as 2 separate courses. Whether they are dealt with as a single course or as separate courses, we thought L2 and below, the practical aspect should be taught starting with LAN cabling, L2 and L3 suite. And we also thought that the teacher should probably take to the class or give assignments to the students on trace route, IP and diff config, and probably show them some packet dump using Wireshark or TCP dump. Then that will probably give them an idea of what a packet actually would look like, what the contents of the packet will be. We discussed some programs that should be given as part of the lab exercise. We will probably put these together in conjunction with the theoretical topics that should be covered. So we have a one-to-one correspondence of, okay, what topic should be taught and what lab exercise should be given after that. Probably that will come tomorrow. And one important thing is students should be made aware of the top conferences and the top journals in that particular area, computer networks. What are the top conferences that they can aspire to attend or publish a paper in? And there are a lot of hot topics in computer networks which are not taught as part of the undergraduate graduate curriculum. For example, network coding, data center networking, cognitive radio, vehicular networks. These are all not part of the undergraduate curriculum. Nevertheless, it doesn't give them an excuse to cut a sorry figure when they go outside somewhere and say, I don't know what data center networking is. So we thought probably they should have seminars on these specialized topics in networking, where the students find out about these special topics and then promote. Now I'll move to the OS part. That was the networks part of the discussion that we had. Now the OS part of it is that first the student should be made aware as to what goes into executing a program by a single programmer and envisaging a virtual machine that can do this. That should be the first step.